Yeah, sure. I think much more of a positive outlook for next year. With the testing regime, which I mentioned earlier, that means that anybody arriving from a high risk country can reduce the time needed in quarantine. We know that the overall the period for isolation reduced to 10 days. I think that was announced last week. But the testing, to have a private test by a private testing company, you can get out of quarantine, so to speak, around day 6 of arriving back into the UK. So that I think is really, really helpful for our industry and might stimulate customers traveling again. But the vaccine is really where we know that's the answer, really, don't we? We hope to see that leisure travel will return by next summer. I think we're all ready for a summer holiday. We will be, definitely. I know I will be by, well, now actually. But the truth is we don't really know. We don't entirely know for sure what next year looks like. We are very optimistic that it will be a good year. Even this morning, you might have seen in the news that Tenerife looks like it may be closing down for 2 weeks over Christmas because the infection rate there is high, and that is not confirmed. I seem to have developed a persistent cough. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's not. But it's so uncertain, and it's so fluid at the moment. It's difficult to put numbers on what next year will look like. And different countries will have different access to the vaccine, of course, and I think there will be a reluctance to sit on an aircraft for long periods. So for long haul traffic, sitting with a mask on for up to 8 hours might not feel doable to some people, which I completely understand. So the long haul market will probably take longer to recover than the short haul in European markets. But we believe that visiting friends and relatives will come back more strongly. Once the restrictions are lifted, everyone wants to go and visit their friends and relatives, particularly those that are living overseas. But we know that business travel will take longer because this thing works. What we're doing now, this virtual meetings like this, it works. So I think that business travel will take longer, and I think that people won't take that one-day business trip to Germany or France to have a meeting when you can just click on Zoom or Teams. But like I said, we do expect summer to be much better. But a bit too early to tell exactly what that looks like. What we do know is that customers may be choosing safety or be influenced by how safe they feel, and that safety and brand trust might be a higher priority than cost for some people. And also travelers are becoming more conscious citizens, so they care more about their carbon footprint. So the aviation sector and our airports will need to reduce their environmental impact for sure. For us, we've already set ourselves an ambitious target of reaching net zero by 2033. And we're looking at ways that we can do that right now, and we'll be looking at that strategy going forward, which will probably be a mix of renewables and offsetting, but we're not quite sure yet is the answer. But look, airlines invest in cities and they invest in regions, and we are part of a very successful region, and we will grow again. Our economy will become strong again, and we'll attract traffic, we'll grow, and then we'll reinvest in the airport for sure. And with all these exciting things like HS2, the Commonwealth Games, and obviously the Coventry City of Culture, I think we've got a lot to look forward to. That's quite a nice segue to Martin.
Over to you, Martin.
Yes, let's hope so. So a date for your diary is the 15th of May 2021. That is when we open our City of Culture event, and will run for 12 months. It will include 365 days of cultural activity targeted to happen in every single ward across the city. We still absolutely remain focused on engaging 80% of our citizens in at least 3 activities during 2021. We're also hoping to welcome 2.5 million additional visitors to the city. Ambitious targets which we still think are possible. Maybe the nature of the visitors will have changed from what was originally imagined, as Justine outlines, in terms of travel challenges and confidence. But what we are doing is working really hard to give people confidence in Coventry as a destination. So still have really ambitious targets about welcoming the UK, if not the world, to Coventry in 2021. And all of this, of course, is made possible by an extraordinary partnership, a consortium of partners, whether they be local, regional and national funders, universities, lottery providers, sponsors, philanthropists, health authorities, trusts and foundations, a huge number of volunteers, and of course the cultural and creative sector, everybody working together to deliver something kind of extraordinary in these kind of really difficult times. And while, of course, the shows and the events and the nature of the activities that we undertake are inevitably going to be different, they're still going to be extraordinary. We are absolutely determined to showcase the youthfulness, the diversity, the talent of our city and our region, and we intend to showcase this to a global audience. So a lot of our work will now be live streamed, it will be broadcast, as well as being performed live within Coventry. Events, of course, will be co-created with communities right across the city to ensure that resources are more fairly distributed. And as mentioned before, as a values-driven organisation, the programme will espouse those values and will support artists and organisations who seek to make longer-term change in their city. But while that all sounds very valuable, we also seek to be really joyful. We absolutely want to create a programme which is celebratory, which is fun, which positions Coventry truly as a city that moves. And this is the kind of our slogan for our year of culture: Coventry, the city that moves. A city which is a music city, a playful city, a youthful city, and indeed a digital city. And we are absolutely focused on bringing some light and some hope to the city. We've started that off with, I guess, a pre-event right now running at the cathedral. We've been able to put, despite tier 3, we've been able to put an ice rink into the cathedral ruins. It just looks absolutely spectacular. An enormous interest in it. We're selling really, really well. Super COVID safety rules in place. And I'm really kind of thrilled by the appetite from Coventrians to engage in what we're doing. So we feel confident that there is, with the right product, and with the right measures in place, there's an appetite for coming together, engaging in social, leisure and cultural activity, and so we're kind of buoyed on by that. So in order to deliver our year, we do have producers who are embedded in voluntary sector organisations. We've been able to boost the capacity within the cultural sector locally, and we developed partnerships with some major national institutions as well. And at the end of January 2021, this is when we'll be launching our full programme. And I'm really hopeful, having seen what is emerging, really hopeful that audiences and visitors and residents will recognise that there really, really is something for everyone within our programme. It's a programme that will celebrate the heritage of our city, but also point towards an optimistic and a fairer future. And through some really well-established media partnerships with the BBC, with Channel 4, with Sky Arts, we absolutely believe we'll be under a sustained positive spotlight. Coventry City of Culture will be the first major events programme happening anywhere in the UK next year. It's the only annual festival that happen anywhere across Europe next year. So absolutely, it's an opportunity for us to showcase the city, showcase the region, and an opportunity for businesses to take advantage of the spotlight the City of Culture will bring. We've also got to use that spotlight to ensure that the chances of our citizens are improved. And a big focus of our work, and a big focus of my work in particular, is about ensuring that investments in skills continues. I truly believe it is absolutely key to delivering a legacy from this major investment. So throughout 2021, we'll continue to invest in our apprenticeship programme, our leadership programme. We'll be recruiting 5,000 volunteers. We'll be investing in hospitality and retail sector training programmes, and ensuring that every single young person in the city has an opportunity to engage and participate in a learning opportunity like the City of Culture, but also to be at the heart of the programming. We're also going to be revealing the results of our £100 million plus capital programme, which sees extraordinary changes to some of the capital infrastructure, the cultural infrastructure, but also public realm. There's artists who have been commissioned across the city to transform what the city will look like for visitors. But also we, as a trust, will be unveiling our own capital asset. We are investing in a digital gallery, one which will showcase immersive technology in a really kind of playful and accessible way, one which establishes a new visitor attraction for the city, which will last long after 2021. But we've also got to use this opportunity to make sure that, in the longer term, our resources are more fairly distributed. But we're also really fixated on ensuring that we minimise the environmental impact that mass scale events, mass gatherings can make. We've got a really well-funded National Heritage Fund Green Futures programme, and are doing some really innovative work across the city with many major partners. But we also seek to use this as an opportunity to showcase the innovation which we all believe is so central to the region's recovery. I guess finally, I do strongly believe that the City of Culture provides a major opportunity to ensure that the culture and creative industries can be part of the region's short-term reset. But I also think this gives us an amazing opportunity to stake a claim for being part of the longer-term solution. We've been able to demonstrate through this period that kind of creativity leads to resilience, and absolutely that people have missed the ability to gather. I think this is an amazing opportunity for us as a cultural sector to reassert our importance in terms of the city and the region, its economic recovery, and definitely don't intend to blow that. I'm really optimistic, therefore, that we've got this spotlight. But I'm also pragmatic. I recognise that there's going to be more change, there's going to be much more disruption, but really, I'm ultimately really glad and feel very privileged that this opportunity exists for Coventry and Warwickshire and the wider West Midlands, because my colleagues elsewhere, whether they be in tier 1, 2 or 3 in fact, have got nothing like this opportunity, and I'm determined that we kind of galvanise, use this to truly reinvent what Coventry and Warwickshire is going to do as part of its future economy. So thank you very much.
Thank you ever so much, Martin. And now finally, just on to Alexander, who's going to finish our kind of looking forward session. And then there's a couple of questions that have popped into the chat that we'll ask the panel to address as well. And then we're going to pop into the breakout rooms, probably for about 10 minutes. So thank you all, and over to you, Alexander.
Thanks, Chris. Looking ahead to 2021, I'm most excited about the industries which are going to come forward to propel the Midlands economy and the UK into a sort of post-COVID revival. And so renewable energy, I mean, Shropshire, where I sit at the moment, I mean, I feel that could be instrumental in helping offset the West Midlands carbon account, because the county of Shropshire covers 3,500 square kilometres. It's the biggest landlocked county in England, with a population of only 500,000 people. Well, compared to the West Midlands, which is 900 square kilometres and 3 million population. Shropshire's declared a climate change emergency, and independently, the South Shropshire area has also set up a climate change action group. So awareness is growing within the local population in the county. Also within the county, there's a rising number of solar farms being developed, and given its extensive land holdings are controlled by perhaps the highest concentration of landed estates and large farms in the UK, then assembling land to develop large-scale solar to feed into more densely populated urban areas should be feasible. Grid connection costs and capacity within the grid is always an obstacle. So ourselves at Bradford Estates, we've sort of explored the concept of a private line electricity connection for J3 to off-site solar farms on our own land outside the red line of about 72 hectares at a cost of around £20 million. And the benefit of utilising land for field-mounted solar panels is that the land can still be used for sort of sheep grazing, so it still can maintain agricultural use. Another industry I think that sort of is developing and in the spotlight is modern methods of construction. And I really feel that has a strong contribution to make to tackling the housing crisis in the UK by delivering more homes quickly and greenly. So what is an MMC, modern methods of construction? It's the process by which buildings are constructed off-site under controlled factory conditions using the same materials and designed to the same codes and standards as conventionally built houses, but in about half the time and more energy efficiently. Buildings are produced in modules that, when put together on site, reflect the identical design intent and specifications of conventionally built accommodation. The University of Wolverhampton has recognised the exciting future of MMC by offering a master's degree in the subject at their School of Architecture and the Built Environment. Bradford Estates has also been approached by a well-known MMC developer to establish a factory at J3 alongside a workers' village in the style of Cadbury's Bourneville or Unilever's Port Sunlight in Lancashire. Electrical vehicles, battery technology. I mean, with the government's proposals to outlaw the sale of petrol and diesel vehicles by 2030, the race is really on to develop a domestic battery manufacturing industry to secure the future of our key automotive sector in the region in the transition to electric vehicles. The development of the first electric vehicle-only forecourt has also been recently completed in Braintree in Essex, and that's powered by a combination of in-situ solar panels and batteries, and was opened just in time for Christmas. The Department of International Trade launched a nationwide inquiry this summer for sites to accommodate an initial 6 gigafactories for the automotive industry, with each facility requiring over 50 hectares of employment land with easy access to the motorway network and estimated to yield around 3,000 new jobs per facility. Shropshire Council recognised the scale of our site at J3 by putting the scheme forward to this nationally crucial call for sites. Also, we've been approached recently by an EV forecourt developer because of our land's adjacency to the M54 and key regional trunk roads of the A5 and A41, so something to consider for next year. Agricultural technology. As most agricultural crops are dependent on the global markets for their pricing, then the only real control for a producer is over the cost of production, which is also now therefore driving the forces of agricultural technology innovation. With only 10 minutes travelling time from the estates, Harper Adams University is pioneering research into sustainable methods of farming to reduce the need for fertiliser, sprays and machinery. So very lucky to have such a neighbour on our sort of doorstep. We're partnering with the university and the Innovation for Agriculture, which is a unit of the Royal Agricultural Society, to advise on the setup of a new exemplar agricultural business founded on sustainable farming principles. Through this reduction, we aim to improve the reduction in the use of fertiliser and sprays and machinery. We aim to improve the net biodiversity of our land, enhance the local watercourses, increase the nutritional content of our crops, and most importantly, sequester increasing amounts of carbon in our soils, with an aim to achieving not only net zero carbon, but eventually a positive carbon balance in our operations. As our area is home to nationally significant agricultural and food businesses, J3's employment land therefore offers the opportunity to create an agricultural technology cluster by attracting some large occupiers in these industries to our scheme to complement Harper Adams' smaller scale Newport Innovation Park further down the A41.